Hi there, everybody. Thanks so much. Welcome to our open book. Very good to be with you. See, the cops are trying to get us. Hi there, also Elise. Hi there, SR, Catherine Capel, Jennifer Walls, Dorothy Joy, Paul Andrakovich, Margaret Maupin. Any relationship to Amistad, Lori Dominic, SR, also Elise. Good evening, friends, as Elise Madeleine says. Very good to be with all of you. I was trying to do some writing today, and something was on my, I just finished this, and we're going to have him on the show next week, if I'm not mistaken. Jan Martel, who won the Booker Prize for Life of Pi. This is Son of Nobody. And I won't give away too much about that book until we have him on the air, except to say I liked it very much. It's the retelling of a Trojan War epic alongside the life of the remarks of the scholar who's working on the translation and the excavation. Everything all right?
Um, Sorry, no, go ahead. Yes, go ahead. I was looking for, it's not apropos at all, but Virginia Joffrey's book is Nobody's Girl.
Son of nobody, nobody's girl. Literature, it makes connections. And he has a section in there in which the scholar says there's a kind of poetry and appeal to lists. And then, of course, I think I certainly will share again. I am a big believer in George Orwell's essay on the English language and his rules for writing. So Elmore Leonard, July 2001, contributed this piece, Elmore Leonard's Rules for Writing, to the New York Times. And it also included some exceptions, as Orwell ends his essay by saying, violate any of these rules rather than commit acts of barbarism. So, au fanchon, very good to see you. So, of course, Elmore Leonard, before he began to write crime novels, was writing Westerns. And these are two forms that are sometimes not given a lot of respect in the world of literature, but he won respect for uh, his wonderful touch and plotting and characterization. So here is what Elmore Leonard wrote. These are rules I've picked up along the way to help me remain invisible when I'm writing a book, to help me show rather than tell what's taking place in the story. If you have a facility for language and imagery, and the sound of your voice pleases you, invisibility is not what you are after, and you can skip these rules. Still, you might look them over. So these are his 10 commandments, infused with, as the Times note, his signature blend of humor, humility, and uncompromising discernment. Number 1, never open a book with the weather. If it's only to create atmosphere and not a character's reaction to the weather, you don't want it to go on too long. The reader is apt to leaf ahead looking for people. There are exceptions. If you happen to be Barry Lopez, by the way, a great nature writer and novelist who did a lot of writing about the Arctic wilderness. If you happen to be Barry Lopez, who has more ways to describe ice and snow than an Eskimo, you can do all the weather reporting you want. Exactly, Linda Grimm. It was a dark and stormy night. That's what he's advising against. 2, avoid prologues. They can be annoying, especially a prologue following an introduction that comes after a foreword. But these are ordinarily found in nonfiction. The prologue in a novel is backstory, and you can drop it anywhere you want. There is a prologue in John Steinbeck's Sweet Thursday, but it's okay because a character in the book makes the point of what my rules are all about. He says, quote, I like a lot of talk in a book, and I don't like to have nobody tell me what the guy that's talking looks like. I want to figure out what he looks like from the way he talks. Figure out what the guy's thinking from what he says. I like some description, but not too much of that. Sometimes I want a book to break loose with a bunch of hoop-de-doodle. Spin up some pretty words, maybe, or sing a little song with language. That's nice. But I wish it was set aside so I don't have to read it. I don't want Hoop-de-Doodle to get mixed up with the story. 3. Never use a verb other than said to carry dialogue. The line of dialogue belongs to the character. The verb is the writer sticking his nose in it. But said is far less intrusive than grumbled, gasped, cautioned, lied. I once noticed Mary McCarthy ending a line of dialogue with she asseverated and had to stop reading to get the dictionary. By the way, as I may have said, we had this discussion with one of our daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when their teacher said, and the first one was said, and then exclaimed, and then all that sort of thing. And I went into it citing not Leonard Elmore, but William Shawn, the great editor of the New Yorker, who will be mentioned on our show this week. And you interrupted me and said to our daughter, I would do it as your teacher says.
I learned that the hard way,
Yeah.
actually.
And that's why they're doing so well today. All right. 4, never use an adverb to modify the verb said, he admonished gravely. To use an adverb this way or almost any way is a mortal sin. The writer is now exposing himself in earnest, using a word that distracts and can interrupt the rhythm of exchange. I have a character in one of my books tell how she used to write historical or romances, quote, full of rape and adverbs.
Sounds romantic.
Number 5, keep your exclamation points under control. Particularly important in these times of texting. I use exclamation points all the time,
Yeah, we've all loosened up.
You are allowed no more than 2 or 3 per 100,000 words of prose. If you have the knack of playing with exclaimers the way Tom Wolfe does, the great late novelist Tom Wolfe, you can throw them in by the handful. Number 6, never use the words suddenly or all hell broke loose. This rule doesn't require an explanation. I have noticed that writers who use suddenly tend to exercise less control in the application of exclamation points. Now, I will add, this is something he's not the only writer to say this, and I've tried to observe this. It's hard, but I was thinking about it today.
Suddenly,
I'm thinking about it today. There's a sudden rise in the price of oil. No, there's a rise in the price of oil.
Oh, this one has been sudden.
Well,
10 cents
but,
one day.
or as a consequence, or suddenly there was a clap of thunder. You can say there was a clap of thunder, and people know it's suddenly. Claps of thunder usually are suddenly. All right.
No, you're right.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What did you say? Gee, I keep forgetting. You don't know what that means. Yeah. All right. Number 7, use regional dialect, patois, sparingly. Once you start spelling words in dialogue phonetically and loading the page with apostrophes, you won't be able to stop. Notice the way Annie Proulx captures the flavor of Wyoming voices in her book of short stories, Close Range. 8. This is interesting. Avoid detailed descriptions of characters, which Steinbeck covered. In Ernest Hemingway's Hills Like the White Elephants, what do, quote, the American and the girl with him look like? Quote again, she had taken off her hat and put it on the table. That's the only reference to a physical description in the story. And yet we see the couple and know them by their tones of voice, with not one adverb in sight. Number 9, Don't go into great detail describing places and things. He adds, unless you're Margaret Atwood and can paint scenes with language or write landscapes in the style of Jim Harrison. But even if you're that good at it, you don't want descriptions that bring the action, the flow of a story to a standstill. And finally, number 10. Try to leave out the parts that readers tend to skip. A rule that came to mind in 1983. Think of what you skip reading a novel. Thick paragraphs of prose you can see have too many words in them. What the writer is doing, and he's writing perpetrating hoop-de-doodle. Perhaps taking another shot at the weather. Or is going into the character's head, and the reader either knows what the guy is thinking or doesn't care. But I'll bet you don't skip the dialogue. Most important rule is one that sums up the 10. And if it sounds like writing, I rewrite it. Or if proper usage gets in the way, it may have to go. I cannot allow what we learned in English composition to disrupt the sound and rhythm of the narrative. It is my attempt to remain invisible, not distract the reader from the story with obvious writing. Joseph Conrad once said something about words getting in the way of what you really want to say. If I write in scenes, and always from the point of view of a particular character, the one whose view best brings the scene to life, I am able to concentrate on the voices of the characters telling you who they are and how they feel about what they see and what's going on. And I'm nowhere in sight. What Steinbeck did in Sweet Thursday was to title his chapters as an indication, though obscure, of what they cover. Whom the gods love, they drive nuts, is one. Lousy Wednesday is another. The third chapter is titled Hoop-de-Doodle 1, and the 38th chapter is Hoop-de-Doodle 2. It's warnings to the reader, as if Steinbeck is saying, here is where you'll see me taking flights of fancy with my writing, and it won't get in the way in the story. Skip them if you want. Sweet Thursday came out in 1954, writes Elmore Leonard, when I was just beginning to be published. And I've never forgotten that prologue. Did I read the Hoop-de-Doodle chapters? Every word.
Oh, that's lovely. I've been sitting here trying to find the word hoop-de-doodle. It's not
Well,
going
hoop-de-doodle
well.
is probably not in... Well, you've heard the phrase, haven't you?
Hoop-de-doodle?
What's all the hoop-de-doodle about? No, maybe
What's
that's
that
my
mean?
generation.
Hullabaloo?
Maybe that's Elmore Leonard's generation. No, hullabaloo. You won't believe this. Hullabaloo was a music song on NBC Friday nights. Hullabaloo.
You were waiting for this, weren't you?
But hoop-de-doodle, you never, no, of course you haven't heard.
No, it's lovely. I like it.
I know Hogan's Heroes. How much does that redeem me?
Suddenly,
Excellent.
she heard hoop-de-doodle. So, Elmore Leonard's It Is Generational, says Lucy Fellows. We want more Elmore. Well, why don't we read some Elmore? I think we'll do that soon. I believe I have a couple of his novels and a collection or two. So thanks very much for being with us on our open book tonight. Very good to be with you.
Are you doing origami?
Yes.
Elmorigami, hoop-de-doodle.
Elmore got me here. Look at that. It's a goose. All right, maybe not. So very good to be with all of you. We have some guests coming up. We're going to get together and figure
And
out our
invite them.
scheduling and
Yeah.
invite them. Yeah. Well, we have to do that.
That's
We have to do the so that suddenly it pops up. Linda Grimm asks, is it whoop-de-doodle? Well, Elmore uses the H, so that would be hoop-de-doodle. But I don't know.
To be continued.
Yeah, it can be continued. Whoop-de-doodle. Yes, this week we're going to be having on our show in NPR, we're going to be having William Shawn and Andre Gregory. Looking forward to that. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye-bye. Hullabaloo.